Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. In case you didn't recognise her, that's Kelly Carlson on the screen. She was most famous for her role as Kimber in the American TV series Nip Tuck, where she started off as a supporting cast member, but such was her impact she became a regular cast member. That's how she looks today. She's in her mid-40s and she's about half an inch shorter than me, so we're practically the same height. She's happily married to an ex-US naval officer, and he's, surprise surprise, 6 foot tall. So would I go with her? Nah, too old, and we probably got absolutely nothing in common. Anyway, enough about Kelly. The club culture in America and over here in Britain, as you know, has been declining quite rapidly the last few weeks, and you've all seen the MGTOW videos from Darius and people like him reporting on that. So I thought I'd have a look round to see if the mainstream media has been reporting on it. Didn't find much, because all the links are generally to YouTube channels reporting on the closure of clubs and women complaining about men are not going anywhere. But I found a few things. First of all, it's this. Now this was on 5th of May 2016, or about 10 years ago, so that gives you an idea how long the nightclub scene has been in decline. The only bit is relevant is the top bit. Whoops. There's a massive trend brewing in America in the Western world's nightclub scene. Nightclub and bar attendance is on a steady decline over the past several years and counting. Nightclubs are going out of business left and right, with more being threatened to close their doors each and every day. This has been a massive decline in the number of bars. This trend is also isn't exclusive to the United States. Over here in Britain and other parts of Europe are also experiencing a similar drop in a once world-renowned nightlife scene. No mention of guys deciding it's not worth the effort to go in there because women just generally ignore them. And it says one in the US neighborhood bars closed between 2004 and 2014, a 10-year span, with closures peak at 6 per day in 2014. There are 334 new bars opening each month. That's fewer than the 609 that were closing in the same time. And now it says there are now 17% fewer bars, a decline of 10,000. Likewise, the British are losing their pubs. In 2002, there was an estimated 60,000 pubs. Since then, more than 10%, i.e. 7,000, have closed. Experts say 20 go bust every week. Now I can attest to that. My hometown of Warrington used to be quite a lot of pubs, but going into the town centre, there's a few that have been there for a long time, long before I was born, but there's been a massive number of pubs closed, not only in the town centre, but in the surrounding areas of Warrington, so I can personally attest to that. I don't particularly like pubs myself. The last club I went to was in Pinocchio's in Perth, Western Australia, when I was living out there. I was 21, 22 when I went to Pinocchio's, and the only thing I got out of it was tinnitus. So I'm not a pub or club goer, and I won't ever be for the rest of my life. And it says the number of nightclubs is also on decline according to Nightlife Association. Approximately 6,500 US nightclubs have either cut back their hours or closed up shop within the first year of operation. That will be a precursor to that all-woman nightclub closing on the first night. And then it says a number of nightclubs in Britain fell from 3,144 in 2005 to only 1,733 10 years later. a 45% drop. In Holland, the number of nightclubs fell 38% between 2001 and 2011. Any of you watching this video in Europe will be able to attest to the number of nightclubs closing in your area. And then examples, what's going on, does it mean the future of community-based entertainment? No mention about guys not bothering because women just ignore them and they'll just stare at the phones all evening. So looking around, you fast forward to the 5th of May this year, I found this. This is the Michigan Journal of Economics, and as you can see, opinion America's club culture is dying. And it says, as once a night out packed with friends, packed with bars and clubs, as now becoming an evening tucked at home binge watching Severance. The United States has historically been a centre of partying and clubbing, particularly in cities like New York, Miami and Las Vegas. Well, I've seen on YouTube Las Vegas is becoming a ghost town. It says, but the pastime is losing its appeal among young people. Even with the rise of house music and social media promotion, more nightclubs are closing shop and hundreds of thousands of people who work in the industry are at risk of losing their livelihood. And it said, there are a million reasons why this is happening, but there are a few prominent ones that may explain why. Young Americans are losing interest in having a night out. Again, no mention that guys are not bothering to go to nightclubs and waste money because women are just not interested in them. One of the biggest reasons is young Americans are drinking less in general, leading to a decline in alcohol sale in venues which can make it harder to run a profitable business. That could be a tacit nod to that all-women nightclub that closed its doors after the first night because the women were not buying drinks, which gives a tacit nod to the fact that guys are the ones who predominantly buy alcohol in these clubs, and if they're not going there, then the club will naturally close. And it goes yada yada yada. With more young Americans disinterested in drinking culture altogether, more nightclubs will struggle to fill themselves with thirsty 20-somethings looking to party. While there are another million reasons why young people are choosing to drink less, the impact in the nightclub industry is undeniable, and this downward trend shows no sign of reversing. And then it's Doctors are whoops. Come on, Christopher. It's not just the drinking culture habits that hurting nightclubs, it's also the sheer cost of a night out. Another tacit nod to why guys are not going to nightclubs. Most of this is due to rising rent, drink and food costs that fall on consumers. Money only goes so far, in other words. Between 2020 and 2025, consumer index rose almost 24% on all items in America. The Consumer Price Index measures average cost of prices paid by consumers for a fixed basket of goods. And then it goes on about the cost of everything and percentages, etc., etc. Now, the only thing I found in relation to women complaining is this on Yahoo News, a site called Daily Dot. This was done on October 15th. Or, what's today's date? Not November yet, Christopher. October. Whoops, come on, Christopher. October 15th, Saturday. That's a couple of weeks ago, if that. As you can see, women are calling out straight men for ruining club culture. America really has become Ken's Mojo Dojo Sasta House, whatever that means. Now, it's not about guys not going to clubs. It says, club and bar culture has always had unspoken rules. Women get priority at the bar. then claim the elevated platforms for dancing, and men typically hand back, letting the women shine and maybe going up to them for a dance, to chat, or to offer a drink. But then it says, but according to a growing chorus of frustrated clubbers on TikTok, those dynamics have completely flipped, and many say it's not for the better. Now here comes the complaint. Women are calling out men for dominating club spaces. A trend has emerged on social media showing men taking over the very spaces that were traditionally reserved for women to dance and be seen. And then we have an example. A lady called Just Nini delivered a passionate rant about the shift she witnessed in the club culture. Quote, when the explosive have you seen men want to be on the stage shaking their explosive looking out at the crows? I ain't never seen that. It was always the girls on stage, the girls in the centre and the girls at the top. Men were just waiting to see who's going to get messed up enough to want to dance with them, not rushing to the explosive stage. And then she goes further, connecting the club behaviour to the broader relationship dynamics. I thought it was just in the relationships that they wanted to be pampered and wanted to be the prize. It's even in the clubs where you all ain't got nobody. I bet she's a negress. I'll be damned if I look up at any man that's on the goddamn stage, she went on. And then you got the pictures. For your interest, no one wants to see 6 straight dudes do nothing on an elevated surface. And then we have another picture. Club culture is dead because men want to stand on the couches like princesses. And then a lady called Hannah shared similar footage from a packed club where at least 7 guys were standing on the couches and none were actually dancing, except for one. Her text overall states, club culture is dead because men want to stand on couches like a princess. The caption that's pointedly, are you not embarrassed truly? And then we go more on about it, this, that and the other, and we have 633 comments. Now, no mention that men are not going to clubs, just that when they do go to the clubs, they start acting like what women do at clubs and not reacting with women, and the women don't like it. To finish this off, I found on TikTok women complain about no men at bars. Now, this woman, I don't want to start in. Come on, Christopher. This woman here, she goes at ranting, but the video next, Emily, if you look at the woman in the background, oh shit, it's the same woman, I think. Now if you drop down, this woman here, when me and the girls pull up at the bar and there are no tall mustachioed men who don't care if I live or die. Yet this woman here, I think pretty sure is the same woman. And she's the title, why are you looking at me funny for approaching you and cut me a break? So they're contradicting themselves. And then we have other comments, women complaining about straight women as if men are not welcome at lesbian bars. Sexy Stone says lesbian women at Clubby Hole was rude. So women are getting on other women's nerves. And this, that and the other. And actually put all these below the link so you can look at them yourself. But women are calling out men for ruining club culture. They're also calling out men for not bothering to go to clubs. So, as predicted on other make-child videos, men are always being blamed for something. But if women were more approachable, then none of this would happen. I'm sorry it's a bit iffy this week, but as I said, most of the links I could find playing around on a Google search is mostly just links to YouTube videos about this very issue. So I won't be doing a video next week because the car's got in for an MOT and its annual service, so it'll probably be the Monday after next Monday. So just so you know, if I'm not here. Anyway, you all know the routine now, so like, dislike, etc. It's completely up to you. So until a week on Monday, that's it for this one. Bye bye.